able to see my screen, right? Right. Okay. Today, thanks for joining in the time. In spite of its morning 7 o'clock, you people have shown interest to join the session on time. So, without wasting any time, I would like to go to the first class and of Power BI. So, the flow of what we learn, what you learn from this particular class. So, we have more than 1 to 12 to 13 topics where we discuss about the Power BI desktop. So the first one will I will help you to download how to download your Power BI desktop, because in order to work on Power BI, it's the first step that you need to install Power BI desktop into your laptop or local system. Second, after that, by topic, so I will travel help you to understand what are the different. Let us see how the Power BI interface looks. So this is the general introduction that I can give before starting with the course. So the first one, like how to install the Power BI desktop, that is our first question, right? So there are the two ways where you can install the Power BI desktop. Okay, the first one is, suppose in your system, if Microsoft Store is installed, like suppose you can see here in, you can type in the search button Microsoft Store. So if the Microsoft Store is there in the system, that you can click on the Microsoft Store. So what happened already in the search button, you can give it as Power BI. Just type as Power BI. So the Power BI desktop icon will be popping up. Just click on the Power BI desktop. So here I have already installed Power BI desktop in my system. That's why it is showing as open. Okay. So for you, if the Power BI desktop is not installed in your system, it will show as install. So soon after you click on install, then the Power BI desktop will be installed into your system. So that is one. Through Microsoft Store, you can install the Power BI desktop into your system. So just go to the search button, click on Microsoft Store. Once you click on this Microsoft Store, then a search button will be popping up. In the search button, you will click on Power BI desktop, like Power BI desktop. Click on this icon. It will open. It will ask you to install. So that is the first step where how you can install Power BI desktop into your system. And there is another way through Google, directly by going through the Google, you can install the Power BI desktop. So that is the second method. So I will explain you how you can install Power BI desktop from Google. Okay. Suppose you open any web browser here. In the web browser, just type as Power BI desktop download. Then click on enter. So if you click on Microsoft Power BI desktop, if you click here, it will go to the Microsoft Store. So that we noted, we are installing from the Microsoft through Google, right, web browser. So you come to the next second step, or you can come here, download Power BI Microsoft platform, or you can click Microsoft Power BI desktop from official Microsoft site. So this link I am opening. Okay. Once you click on Power BI desktop download in the web browser, come to the second link, just click on it. See, once you click on it, this is the window that you can open. This will be open. So here it will ask for select language. If another language is selected, you should change into English. Then after that, you just click on here Microsoft Power BI desktop. Language should be English. You can click on the download. So after you click on the download, there will be two types: Power BI desktop setup.exe and Power BI desktop setup underscore x64.exe. This two will be open. Just I request you to select this and you click on the download. So it will be downloaded. So when I click on this download, see, it will slowly download over here. I have already downloaded it. Just you need to open the file and you click on next, finish till the Power BI desktop will be downloaded into your system. Just to go through next. So you'll, while installing any app, it will ask for, right? Suppose already this is installed. Power BI desktop. So just click on this file. See, it will ask for here next, then next, and it will ask for finish. Then Power BI desktop will be downloaded. Why I am not installing it? Because already it is installed in my system. So Power BI desktop already I have downloaded because I need to teach the class to you. So this will be the process, because for everyone you are quite new. Maybe the installation of Power BI desktop is first to you, so it is quite new to you. So that's why I request everyone, after finishing the class, you try to download the Power BI desktop into your system. Then it will be easy. Parallelly, you can practice, and you can able to reciprocate with the class. And after finishing the class, you can I will share you the source file. What are the source file I am working with? The help of that source file, you can parallelly practice and get expertise on Power BI. Okay. Okay. See, this is the process. I am not installing because it is already installed in my system. So the first step is we have learned how to install the Power BI desktop. So there will be one interview question regarding the installation. So there are the two ways, right? The first way, you are installing this Power BI desktop uh, through web browser. See, once install, this Power BI icon will be opened like this. So you need to, when you click on that Power BI icon after installation is completed, so the window will be opened like this. Okay. Now I've explained you the two process. First, you can install the Power BI desktop through Microsoft Store, and second process, you can install from the web browser. So what is the difference? What is the difference when you install this in the two different process? But it is recommended that you need to install Power BI desktop from Microsoft Store. Reason being, when you look at this Power BI desktop, it will be constantly innovating. Power BI desktop will be constantly innovating. Whenever the new features are added, those new features will be reflected. Suppose in the last month any new feature was added by the Microsoft into your Power BI desktop, that every new feature will be reflected when you install the Power BI through Microsoft Store. Okay. But when you install through the Google, suppose I am installing, I have explained how to install through the web browser, right? So if any new feature will be added in the next month, so that type of the new features will be not will be reflected when you download through the Google. So at that point of time, suppose you install Power BI desktop today, whatever the features that are updated till today will be reflected when you download Power BI desktop through web browser like Google. But in the next month, suppose in the coming month, if any new feature is added, that may not be reflected in the web browser if you download the Power BI desktop through the web browser. But if you download through the Microsoft Store, whatever the updates will happen in the tool in the Microsoft Power BI, that will be reflected in the tool. So it is recommended for everyone to download the Microsoft Power BI desktop through Microsoft Store. That is one of the important interview question. Now you can ask me, sir, my download is completed. Once your download is completed, when you click on this icon, so this will be the general interface that will be opening. So once you download after the class, if you download. Now what you do in the next step, you need to go on this blank report. Okay. Just click on the blank report. See, this is the Power BI desktop interface. This is the Power BI desktop interface that will be reflecting when you open the blank report. This is the blank report which does not contain any data. When you closely look at this, you can see this is the major body of this Power BI desktop. So what is import data from Excel? What is meant by import? Getting the data from any external, like if it is saved in your desktop, you can extract, you can import means you can get the data from the Excel. Suppose the Excel sheet might be stored in the desktop. So just I want to work on a data where my data is stored in my desktop. That is an Excel file. So you can import from here. See, click on this import data from Excel. Once you click on it, Suppose I have stored my data in the desktop. Go to desktop here. Suppose I want to load this data, sample superstore data. Just you need to click on that, click on open. Okay. Once you click on open, then the data which is present in the desktop will be reflected here. See, it is loading. And it is showing three different. The data is stored in that Excel in three different sheets. So those sheets will be reflected over here. That means the sheet name is sample superstore data. This is the Excel file sample superstore 1. This is the Excel file name. In that Excel, it contains order sheet, people sheet, and return sheet. So these are the three sheets where the data is stored in the Excel. Now I want to bring that data in the sample superstore data. I want to load it into the Power BI desktop. So how you will do it? Just select this order table, people table. See, once you select the order table over here, see what are the tables which are present, the data will be reflected here. So order table, you can see the order table contains order date, ship date. Assume it is a data related to some any like online shop like Amazon or Flipkart any. So in the orders, you will have different type of what is the order ID, what is the order date, when that product is shipped, and how they are shipped. What is the ship mode, second class or first class, what is the customer name who is ordered. So those type of the information is there in the orders table. So when you click on people, so what is the information which is there in the people's table? It people's column or people's sheet, it will be reflected over here. Returns. So in the returns, we have the two columns. So just you need to select those. You need to connect to the Excel file, and what are the sheets which are present in the Excel file will be reflected here. Select those Excel file. Now just click on OK. Once you click on load, then the data which is there in your desktop, which is stored in the Excel file which is stored in your desktop, that the total data will be loaded into the Power BI desktop. Just click on that. See, it is loading. That means your orders table, people's table, returns table, they are loading, and they will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. Okay. Now you can ask me how we can get the confirmation, how we can confirm whether my data, the Excel data which is present in the Excel is stored in the Power BI desktop. That is my question. Whatever the data you upload into the Power BI desktop, it will be reflected in this data section. When you look at this is the data section. See, in the data section, we have orders table, people table, and returns table. Order sheet, people sheet, and return sheet, these three are loaded. Now you can ask me, I want to see the content which is there in the orders table. Just expand this. You can see this order sheet is containing these type of different columns are there in this order sheet. It contains category, city, country. So these are the different columns which are present in this sheet. So it is storing the data. When you go and open the people's table, so it contains two columns. This table contains two columns. Now, when you go to the return sheet also, it contains the data in the two columns, and those columns are reflected over here. And if you want to see the data Excel file lively, that sample superstore data, I'm coming to the Power BI desktop. See, this is the sample superstore data I have collected. Let us try to open this and see the data. Okay, I'm opening the Excel file as well so that you can get a see. It contains the file name is sample superstore data. Okay, it contains three sheets, orders date. See, customer name, customer ID. This is the data how they have stored in the Excel sheet. Same data you have seen here in the Power BI Excel. When I open the order sheet, it contains, but it will follow some alphabetic order or everything. This category city it is coming first, but the same columns which are there in this Excel file will be reflected here. Okay, this is how you can confirm that your data is loaded into the Power BI desktop. In the people's table, you have seen only two columns, column 1 and column 2. Just you can go to the people's table. See, person, one table, second. but you are getting the column name as column 1 and column 2. I will explain you what is the reason behind it. Okay. And returns table also, it contains column 1 and column 2. That means in the here the returns table we have only 2 columns. So this is the way that you need to confirm how your data is stored, like into the Power BI desktop. And if the data is loaded into the Power BI desktop, you need to look at the data section where you can find the data which is loaded into your Power BI desktop. Very clear? Now, second step is, now we have, this is called as extraction. I have discussed about what is meant by ETL means. Just we have extracted the process, the data which is present in the desktop, we have extracted it, and T, transformation, we have not done. In the Power Query, what will do? ETL process, extraction, transformation, and loading, right? We have loaded the data. So if I think I'm saying this data is not correct because this column 1 and column 2, it is correct, it is reflecting correct one, representing the data in columns in the name of column 1 and column 2, is it the correct representation? That is not the correct representation. In the returns also, column 1 and column 2, actually when you look at the data in the people's table, it is person and region data is there. What are the person name and what are the regions? This is the correct way of representing. Returns table, whether the product is returned or not returned, and what is order ID. These are the column names. It should be, instead of representing returned and order ID column name, it is representing, when you load, it is representing the form of column 1 and column 2. That means you need to make some basic transformation. After making the transformation, again you have to load the same data into Power BI desktop. But you should not make any transformation over here, right? Because already the data stored here. But you want to make some basic transformation here, it in the Excel file only, like here in the Power BI desktop. Now let us discuss how we can make some basic transformation in the Excel file and how you can transform the data. Okay, right. So now the process, I want to transform my data, right? So how you can transform your data? So I am closing this icons. I want to transform the data. In order to transform the data which is loaded, you need to go to which tab in the Power BI desktop? You need to go to transform data. From here, you can transform your data, right? So I am going like transform data here. Once you click on this transform data, if you go to my first class in the Power Query in the Power BI, where in the Power BI, where you will transform your data, where you do the ETL process, you will do it in Power Query, right? Power Query is the ETL tool which is present in the Power BI desktop. So once you click on the transform data, see, you will come to Power Query editor. This is the ETL software which is present over here. With the help of this ETL software, Power Query editor, you can transform the data if your data is unorganized. Okay. See, once you click on the Power Transform data, we have clicked, right? So this Power Query editor will be open. You can see Power Query editor will be open. This is the place where you can transform your data. Once your data is transformed, again, the transformation you are doing it in this Power Query level, you will come and you will click on close and apply. So that means you are made the transformation, that you need to save the transformation, right? Once you click on close and apply, whatever the transformation you have made in this at the Power Query level will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. Now orders table is fine. There is no problem with the orders state. I will come to people's table. This people's table, see, person and region, these are the column names. But you can find these column names are not coming at the top. Instead, we are getting column 1 and column 2. Now, I want to bring this person and region this into the column names. That is the basic transformation. Just for an example to make you understand, we'll do it now. See, go here. In the home tab, you have use first row as an header. Here you can find use first row as an header. That means you are asking you to use this first row as an header. Just you click on this use first row as an header. See, person and the region, this first was an header, it is appeared over here. Okay, so that is the transformation we have done. Okay, and coming to the returns table. In the returns table also, return and order ID, actually these are the column names. These should come in the column name like at the top, but we are getting column 1 and column 2, so this is not the correct way of representation. I want to bring this returns and order ID into above as a column names. So this is the first row, right? Rows, these are rows 1, 2, 3, 4, these are rows, right? So you come here, use first row as headers. Just to click on use head first row as header. When you click on head, see returns and order ID. So these are the products which are written. These are the products, these are the order ID. This is the similar way we have seen over here in the returns table and the people table. We have seen it and it is reflecting same. Now you made some basic transformation. Whatever the transformation you make, that will be reflected over here. There is one pane, we call it as applied steps. Whatever the steps you perform here, that that steps will be reflected over here. That means change type 1. So when you click on here, see it will show like whatever the changes, use first row as a headers, right? So what are the transformation you have made, that will be reflected here in the applied steps section. Okay, so that will be discussed about what is applied steps, and in the further coming class I will explain you. Now we had made some basic transformation. Now you want to save the transformation, right? So how you can save it? Just you click on close and apply. Once you click on this close and apply, these transformation will be saved. Okay, in Power Query, use first row as header, we made changes, right? Click on close and apply and just wait. See, it is loading. That means it is implemented the changes. Now, again, you will be coming into your Power BI desktop. Okay, this is the general Power BI desktop. It will be open. If you want to transform your data, you will go to the transform data section. When you go to the transform data section, the Power Query editor will be open. With the help of options present in the Power Query editor, you will make some necessary changes if you want to work on data. Once you click on close and apply, those changes will be saved. Again, you will come to Power BI desktop. See, this is the Power BI desktop. Now you want to see whether the changes are made here in the people's table and the returns table. Okay, come to the people, see person and region. Before it was column 1 and column 2, but we made the transformation in the Power Query and we have saved it by clicking close and apply. Those are reflecting here. Second one, returns also, order ID return. Previously it was column 1 and column 2. So this is how you will make the changes to your data. Okay, in the first class it might be new to you, because but this tool will be using for 60 days. Once you practice for a few days, and this will be very easy for you. Okay, as it is first time you might be, but same data if you practice for a lot of times, like daily you open the tool, then it will be very easy for you. That's why I'm teaching from the very basic level. First you need to understand how to download that, how to download the Power BI desktop, and first you need to understand the interface. Okay, now the next step I want to show you, like I will, once you click on the transform data, whatever in the first class I said, we will first study about the Power Query, right? After Power Query, 15 hours of the classes we go for Power Pivot. Third phase we'll go for Power View, and the last we'll be dealing with the Power BI service. Now I want to explain you how generally the Power Query interface will be look like, how the Power Query interface generally look like. So I want to explain that. Okay, now see, once you go to this transform data, and when you click on the transform data, where you will go, you will go to the Power Query editor. Okay, in the Power Query editor, suppose I am opening on this orders table. First you need to understand, for understanding any tool, first you need to understand how the interface look, Understanding the Power Query interface is very important. First one, when you look at this left side of the pane, you see orders table, people's table, return table. So here you can find this, right? Queries we are finding here. What is meant by queries? In the Power Query, the tables, the sheets where data is stored, the tables are nothing but we are calling it as queries. The sheets where the data we are storing, right? I have shown you in the Excel sheet the data. See, this is the orders table where you have stored the order information, returns table, people's table. So these are called as queries or tables that will be reflected here in the Power Query editor. This one we call it as queries pane. The first pane which is present in the Power Query interface is called as queries pane. That means whatever the tables we you load into the Power BI desktop will be reflected here. That's why it is called as query pane. Second, you can understand, you can see when I open the order table, people's table, returns table. So this body is showing the data which is present in that Excel sheets. Okay, suppose I'm clicking on the orders table. Here, the data which is present in the orders table, it is representing here. Okay, this pane, the center pane, we call it as data pane, or we call it as results pane. What is why it is called results pane? It is showing the data, or it is displaying the results which are present in that orders table. That's why it is called as results pane or data pane. The center body from the row id, the center one, we call it as data pane, or we can call it as results pane. And when you closely look at this Power Query editor, you have many options. Like you might be having opened Excel, right? In the Excel also we have file menu, like many Excel based options are there, right? So here also when you look at the Power Query interface, this is here home tab, we have many based options like recent, enter data, data source. So choose columns, remove columns. These are the many types of menu based options are present. Suppose this is the home tab. When I click on transform tab, I have many menu based options. Why they are useful? They are useful for making the transformations. If your data is an unorganized format, to bring into a structured format, you will make some transformations. Or if you want to merge the tables, or you can to work on this data, you will use at the Power Query level these tabs: add column, view tab. So these are the different types of tabs which are present over here, where different menu based options are present. By using this menu based option, you will make the transformation of your data. So here this is called as, these are the different type of where menu based options are present. This pane is called as ribbon pane. This pane of, or this pane we call it as ribbon pane, and some people are calling it as Power Query ribbon. The Power Query ribbon contains many tabs, and it contains many menu based options. With the help of this menu based option, you will play with the data, you will transform your data. So that's why it is a this pane we call it as ribbon pane, or we can call it as Power Query ribbon. Next one, if you make any some changes in your particular data, suppose if you want to make any some changes, suppose I'm in the orders table, right? Suppose here ship. So I want to make any some changes. I will go to the transform data. See, this is a home. I'm in the transform data. Okay. Now, if I want to make any changes, some changes in the particular data. So I want to format, I will go to the format data. Just try to click on uppercase. See what happened. The data which is previously stored in the lowercase, it has transformed into uppercase text. So this is the transformation we have done at the Power Query level, right? Whatever the transformations which are done at this Power Query level will be reflected over here. See, uppercase test. That means previously the data was there in the lowercase. Now you had made into the format and you have converted the data into uppercase. So you have made the transformations. Whatever the transformations you make at the Power Query level will be captured in this applied steps. Okay, that's why this step, this pane we call it as query setting pane in the Power Query. Okay, next one, when we closely observe this Power Query editor, so whatever the transformation you are making, so that transformation is recorded. It is showing that it is recorded in the in the form of formula, right? So in the form of a code, it is representing here in the form of code, whatever the transformation. So you can see the changed. See here, you can look at the formula. It is a ship mode. The test dot upper, that previously it was lower. Text dot upper, you have converted into the uppercase. Okay, the test we are converted uppercase. So this is the formula which is stored over here. Okay, this area we call it as the formula pane, the center pane where the formulas, the code is captured. We call it as formula pane. So these are the different panes which are present in the Power Query. Where the tables are loaded, we call it as query pane. Where it displays the results which are present in your table, we call it as results pane or data pane. Whatever the transformations you make at the Power Query level will be recorded here in the applied steps. This pane we call it as query setting pane. And with the help of some menu based options which are present in the Power Query, we have different home tab, transform and alt column. So here we have different menu based options and are present. This pane we call it as ribbon pane. And whatever the transformation you make at the Power Query level will be recorded in the form of a code, or we can call it as formula, or in the Power Query we call it as mashup language or M language, or simply we call it as M code. So the area where the formula, you can see the transformation in the form of formula, we call it as formula pane. So this is the general introduction of Power Query. Okay, now you have made the transformation, right? Previously the data was there in the uh, small letters, we have transformed into the capital letters, right? Now you need to save this data, right? How you can save the data? Whatever the transformation made at the Power Query level should be saved. How it will be saved? Just you go to close and apply. Once you click on close and apply, these changes will be saved. So just don't click on apply, don't click on close, just click on close and apply. See, load me that order change, you have made some changes that will be here. When you come to the orders table here, in the orders table, what are the changes you have made in the orders table that will be reflected over here. You can see in the orders table, when you open the tab, that previously it was a small letter and it will be converted into the uppercase. So this is the basic idea that you need to understand while working with the Power BI. Now, I have helped you to understand how to connect to the different data sources. When you say, I will in the presentation that I have shared to you, what you will learn in this particular class, when you see in the demo, see understanding the Power BI interface. Still in the Power BI desktop also, see whatever the data which is present over here, it is reflected here. Now, when you closely observe this, in the Power BI desktop also, we can get the data from here also. Like in the home tab, we have get data. From here also, you can connect to the Excel sheet. See, when you click on get data, it will show what are the different data source we can connect. We can connect to the Excel workbook, we can connect to the SQL server, you can connect to the Dataverse, you can connect to text CSV, even you can connect through the web browser. That means suppose you open any Wikipedia, if you give that Wikipedia link over here in the web browser, whatever the data which is present in the Wikipedia, the data should be in the tabular format. Suppose whatever the tabular data formed in that Wikipedia or in the tabular format will be loaded into the Power BI. Okay, that is the web based. We will be discussing here by the time progress. But for the today class, you will learn how to connect to the Excel And second one, I will explain you how you can connect to a SQL server as well. Okay. From here also, like how to connect to the Excel, just you need to click on the Excel. In the Excel, my data is stored in the Power BI desktop, right? Go to the Power BI desktop. This is a sample superstore data. Select this and click on open. Because already you have loaded these files. When you click on open again these files will be loaded here. So it is not required to load again. What happens if you load again? It will create another three tables are loaded. It will show order one, people one, returns one. So that is not necessary, right? So here get data also. From the get data, the interview question will how you can load the data into the Power BI desktop. The answer is in the Power BI desktop, we have an option called as get data. From there, we can able to connect with the different data sources. Okay. Again, when you closely look at this Power BI desktop, you can see different views over here. What are the three different views? See, when you click on here, it is showing report view. What is meant by report view? Report view means now we are in the report view only. The place where you will build your report, this we call it as report view. So whatever the visuals, suppose I want to create some visuals for you, but for the visualization you will be discussing after 10 or 15 or 20 classes, but I will create a sample visual for you. So suppose how the visuals will appear. So suppose I'm in the orders table. So I want region wise sales, how much each region is performing. So we have four regions. When you look at the data in this region, different four categories of data regions are there. Now I want to build a pie chart in this Power BI desktop. Come click on this pie chart, just click on pie chart. So your pie chart will be displayed over here. Here I want to find my requirement is region wise sales I need to capture. So just click on the region. So the region is selected over here. Once you select the region, that will be displayed over here. Okay, the four regions are there that are reflected over here. My intention is I want to how these four regions are performing. So in order to see their performance is based on the sales, right? I will click on the sales. Just you try to click sales. See, you got the information. This region wise different sales like so west, east, central, south. This is for how these four regions are performing. So this is the basic visual that you will create. So in the Power View, we'll be discussing about more than different 100 types of the visuals. For basic understanding, how we create the visuals I have shown. Select the whatever the chart you want and select the data which you want. I want region-wise sales. I've selected this pie chart. I want region-wise sales, right? Just select region, just select the sales. You will get the pie chart. So this formatting, how to create the representation in a different way that it will be discussing in the Power View section. So at least you need to have some basic idea how to build a visual. So I have shown you. So here we are in the report view. Whatever the reports you make or what are the reports you build that will be represented in this report view. Okay, that you need to understand. To explain that, I have created a sample visual for you. Second step, this is called as table view. What this table view contains, see once you click on the table view, see you can see right now you are in the orders table. So that whatever the data which is stored in that order table, it will be represented in the form of a table. It in the columnar format like row ID, order ID. So this is the same that you can see here, right? When I have shown in the Excel, you can see the Excel in the orders table. You can see row ID, order ID. So this is how the data is stored, right? This is the data. So same data it will be reflected here. Whatever the data which if you want to see the data, you can come in the Power BI desktop, go to the data table view, and you can see the data. I have selected the orders table. Now we want to see the data in the people's table. Just click on the people. So you can see the data which is there in the people's table is reflected over here. Come to returns table, the data which is present in the tables in the returns table will be reflected here. So we have understand what is the report view, what is the table view. Next, you can understand what is the model view. So this is the very important. Model view, this I will discuss in the Power Pivot how to create the relationship between the tables. So suppose your data is stored in the different tables, right? So some data is stored in orders, peoples, returns. So my requirement is I want to build any visual. I want to build any visual by clubbing the data which is present in this returns table and orders table. Okay, that is my requirement. I want to use the information which is present in the orders table. I want to use the information which is present in the returns table. Based upon the information available in these two tables, I want to create one visual. So in that case, if you want to build a visual, you need to first create a relationship between the tables. So in between the returns table and orders table, you need to link the table. Suppose here we have order ID. When you look at the returns, order ID. So based upon some common relationship, we need to establish the relationship between these two tables. Then only you can build the visuals based on the information present between the two tables. Okay. This concept we'll be discussing about more than 10 to 12 classes in the Power Pivot. Okay. But as a rough idea, I want to explain what is data modeling, what is the importance of three different views. Because in the reports also table view, we'll build the many visuals. In that report view, whatever the reports which we build will be reflected over here. In the data view, you can see what is your data, which is what are the different columns where your data is stored. When you look at the modeling part, you can see what are the different types of tables that you have loaded and what is the relationship established between the tables. In the real time, Power BI itself will create the relationship. I have not created this relationship. Power BI itself created the relationship. But this relationship between the orders table and the return tables, Power BI has not created. But in the real time, the requirement may come based on the information between the orders and returns table. I want to build any visual. In that case, see, Power BI established the relationship. See, relationship will be established based on the common IDs. So here you can see here, when you click on this, see here region we have. Based upon this common ID, Power Query has, like Power BI itself detect the relationship. Now in the real time, I will ask you guys how you can establish the relation between order and returns table. When I closely observe here we have order ID. In the returns table also order ID. So I will drag this order ID, just drag that order ID, leave it over here. Say a relationship order ID, a relationship is going to get created. It has detected. Now just you click on save. Okay. Now a relationship was established between order ID and here. You want to see how the two columns are linked. Just you click over here, then it will reflect. See, based upon these two relationships we have created. Now if you want to create how many in country wise, like how many if you select the profit any product and how many products are returned over here. So return information is there here, product is information is there here. So based upon these two, you can create the visuals. How you can build a visual? Because you have established the relationship between these two tables. But in the real time, if you are not able to build the relationship, and your requirement will comes, I want to build a visual based upon these two visuals, this data present in two different tables, but it may not be possible. You will get some errors popping up because you have forgot to establish the relationship between the two tables. It is very simple like that. Okay, you need to understand this concept, what is the important of creating the relationship. If it is raw, it's not a problem, because every topic what I am saying here we'll be discussing in depth, more than 10 to 15 classes. But I want to show a holistic view. Generally, if you download, you need to uh, somebody messaging, right? Yeah, not a problem. Okay, right, this is how you can see. This is the table view, like report view, table view, and this is the data modeling view. This is how you can see it. Now we have collected how to connect to the data sources in the Excel, but it is possible, like, you can ask me, sir, my data is stored in the SQL server. I want to connect the data in the real time. If you're working on the large data set, your company will maybe store your data, storing in your data in the databases like SQL Server. Now you let us learn how to connect to the SQL Server, right? See, in order to connect to the data sources, you are in the Power BI desktop, you will be clicking on this get data. In the get data, you have a SQL server, right? This is the area in the SQL server. Suppose your data in the SQL server, just you click on SQL server. Now, when you click on the SQL server, it will ask you the information. It is asking server name. What is your server name? Then it is asking the what is the name of database. It is optional. That means it is up to you whether you have to give that database name or not. Then data connector node mode is import and direct query. So I will explain you what is that import mode and direct query, because we have a full-fledged class, 1 hour class on this, which is very important, but that will be coming after in the coming session. Now it is asking to give the server name. Now my question is where I can get the server name. Okay. See, suppose your data is stored in the SQL server. First step, you need to download the SQL server into your local system. To work on this Power BI desktop, we have learned how to download the Power BI desktop in the initial class, right? Now, if you want to connect to any SQL Server database, first you need to download the SQL Server. So I have a full-fledged video on how to download the SQL Server. I will share the recordings to you. So by going through the recordings, you can download the SQL Server. Okay. Once the SQL Server is downloaded, it will show you like this Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio 18. Okay. It will be the name. You can see the SQL Server. So I need to connect to the SQL Server. First, I need to open the SQL Server, which is download over here. I will click on SQL Server Management Studio. See, once you click on Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and the SQL Server will be opening, and you can get the SQL Server. See, server name, laptop 9 MG like SQL Express. This is my SQL Server name. So I need to connect with to this. I need to give this server name in the Power BI desktop. Like, see, I'm copying this SQL Server name controls. Now let us come to your Power BI desktop. In order to see my data, suppose my data is stored in that SQL server, I need to connect to this SQL server. Okay, my requirement is, suppose my data, I have stored this data in my SQL server. I want to connect the source, the data which is stored over here. In order to connect to this, I need to give the server name. Once you give the server name from here, the data which is stored in my SQL server will be reflected in your Power BI desktop. I have copied the server name. Just you click on Control V, you have copied the SQL server name. Database is optional. So once you click on the SQL server, see, it will take a lot of time, some time based on the requirement. What is the reason behind it? Reason being, in the Excel, that Excel will show short, the data will be not that much use. It will be computed very fast. But in SQL Server, as we store the huge amount of data, it may take some time. See, laptop 9 MG, it is the server name. Here, this is the adventure. This is the database name we have. Okay. Now I need to look at what are the tables which are there in that SQL server. So in order to find that, you need to click over here. You need to see these are the different tables which are reflected in the SQL server. Okay. So it is not necessary to load all the tables which are there in the SQL server. So for the time constraint, I will try to load only few tables which are there in the SQL server. What are the tables I want to store? I want to store customer table. Okay. See, this is the, when you click on this icon, like whatever the data which is present over there, it will be reflected over here. Okay. I want the customer table. And second, I want the employee table. See, the data which is present employee is reflected here. And I want the product table, data in project. So just select those tables, select these tables, and try to click on the load. Once you click on the load, whatever the data which is present in the SQL server will be loaded into your Power BI desktop. So these three. So just click on load. You can see your data is loading. See, once this will be appearing, that means what it signifies, it is fetching the data, it is taking the data which is present, which is stored in this your SQL server, and it is trying to load that data into your Power BI desktop. So this is the way you need to understand. So as data is, maybe this data contains lot of rows, the data might be huge, so it might take some time. In the previously Excel, it is finished, it has run, it has loaded in the only within seconds, because the data was not that much use. In the real time also, when you work on some big projects where you are working with the vast amount of the data, then while loading the data, so it will take some time. Yeah, right. This is how, see, loads 5,000, 6,000 rows are loaded. That status you can be represented over here. Once it is finished, then it will pop up the message. Right, done. It has finished. Like, and the next step is whether you need to see whether your data is loaded or not. You need to come to the data section, right? This is the data section. In the data section, you can see here the dim customer, dim table. These are the data which we loaded from the SQL server. See, these are the tables we have. In a SQL employee table, we have loaded, product table you have loaded. So this is how you can connect to the different data sources. We have learned how to connect to the SQL server. We have learned how to connect to the different data sources like SQL server and Excel also. Now, when you closely observe this two, suppose these orders table, people and returns tables are coming from Excel. These three are coming from the SQL server. Now let us see. Let us go to the transform data. We are in the home session, right? We are in the Power BI desktop. Now I want to go to Power Query. Power Query is the area where you make some transformation. So from Power BI desktop, how you can go to the Power Query where you transform your data? You need to observe this point very carefully. When you click on this transform data, you will go to the Power Query. Okay. Event. This is the Power Query. So in the Power Query also, whatever the data which is present in the Power BI desktop will be reflected over here. See, orders, people, returns table, customers, employee, product table. These three are coming from SQL Server. These three are coming from the Excel. Okay. See, we have made the uppercase test. This is the transformation that I have done. So I'm changing it. Okay. I'm coming to the dim customer. So in the applied step, when we closely observe, suppose let us go some in-depth analysis. This is the orders table. When you look at the orders table, you have seen the applied steps. We have four: source, navigation, promoted headers, change type. So we have four default steps are present over here, right? We have observed the four default steps. Now, what is meant by this? When I click on the source, see, this is the orders table. What you will see, just click on the source. When you click on the source, it will show the information. That means this table is coming from the Excel workbook. It will give what is the file format. It is Excel. Second, it will show you the path. It is stored in C drive. In the C drive users, in that users have a document called Janardhan in the OneDrive. And in the desktop, I connect to the OneDrive in the desktop. In the desktop, I have saved this file by name Superstore1. Okay, that means in the desktop, it is stored in the, that means the Excel workbook, which is stored in the desktop in the form of sample Superstore data. So that source information you will be getting over here. Okay, this is the source. Next, when you click on the navigation, source information gives whatever your data source is coming from, where the source it is coming from the desktop. In the desktop, we have stored a file called sample superstore 1. You can see this is sample superstore 1. In the desktop, I have stored this source information it is giving. Okay. Next one, navigation. When you click on the navigation means from which table, from which sheet we are getting this information. Okay. It is present in the orders. So in the orders, from the orders table or kind is from the orders sheet, you are getting this data. So from the place from where you are getting the data, which table, from which sheet you are getting the data, that will be there in the navigation state. Okay, this is second. Then we have the promoted headers. So this is the default step which is present over here, and we have the change type. So these two, or whatever the changes you will making. Promoted headers means when you load this data, Power Query directly it will assign the headers for it. Okay, but you can ask me this in this promoter header steps. When you look at this people's table, promoted headers, this step we have done because this promoted headers means every first table which is present over here, it will detect those as headers, and Power Query itself detect the headers. Okay, the reason being here, when you look at the row ID in this column, I will give an example over here. We see this is a row ID 1 2 3 4 5. You can ask me how this row ID Power Query itself, this Power BI Power Query, how it has detected this as headers. Power Query, while doing the transformation, it will see row ID, it is a text, and all the data is stored in the number. So it has analyzed these are the numbers, this is the text function, this is the text, and again the numbers are coming, so it might be the header. So it has automatically detected the headers. Here we have text, we have alphanumeric. So Power Query thought this might be the header, and it has give the first row, it has assigned itself the first row as header. Okay, order date, see order date, it is a text. Here data, all the dates are having, so Power Query itself detected it. Ship date also, it is a text, again the dates are coming here. So automatically this step, usually Power BI desktop will Power Query will do it by itself. That is called as promoted header. So in the orders table, it is not a problem. But in that people's table, see previously in this, instead of this person has came into the first place, right? If you remember, the person and region, it is there in the row 1. And if you remember, the column headers were column 1 and column 2. Now you can ask me simple question, why it has failed to detect that? You know, Anna, Chakmagri, Kili, these are the names because you know, as for the human intelligence. Region, east, west, north, and south. You know, these are the region names. But Power Query has not that much, it doesn't have that much human intelligence because it got confused because all this person, Anna, these are the text, right? So it thought all these are the text. So all this thought all this has rows. That's why instead of giving any headers, it has kept as column 1. Region, west, east, these are the letters, right? They thought it thought it as all these are similar. That's why it has given it is it has failed to detect the region as header. Instead of the region, previously it has given column 2 because it has confused because all these are text. But here Power Query has not confused. Reason being, it is text, it is number. Here order date is text, all dates, all these dates are similar, it is different. So it thought it is a promoted header, it has assigned the header to itself. But here Power Query has failed to detect. That's why, see, use first row as a headers, you used this transformation. Then only the person and the region which is there as a first row, it has displayed as a column name, if you remember. Suppose if you want to see, again, if you connect, see, from the Power Query also you can connect to the new sources, right? Here also, from here Power Query also you can connect to the new sources. You are in the Power Query, from the Power BI desktop also you can connect to the data source. How? Through get data. Okay. In Power Query, you can ask me in the Power Query, how I can connect to the data source. Just you can click on new source. It will show you the Excel. You can connect to the SQL Server also. In the Excel, I will show the same step. In the Excel, suppose you are in the desktop here. I'm connecting sample superstore data. Just to select on this. So the sample super data coming here. There are 3 tables. So people's and written I am loading for you. Okay. Click on OK. Already tables are loaded. People's returns are there. If you load twice, what happens? You see. People to return to these two. Once you see here, see all these are text. That's why Power Query don't you know that person name? These are the person names, right? Power Query has don't know that these are the text. So it detect all these are the text function. That's why it has failed to give promote here the promoted headers whether it is there. This default step, it is not there because there are only 3 steps. But when you in the orders table, when you automatically detected, you got 4 applied steps. 4 default steps are there. But in the returns table, you have only 3 steps because Power Query failed to identify this promoted headers. This step has not done in this step because it has confused. Now it is your duty as a Power BI developer. You can analyze, yes, these are the person name. So column 1 and column 2 is not a perfect way to represent the column name. Just you click on here, come to use first row as an header. See, this is the right. And you have made such a transformation. When you click over, you see here, promoted header step is added over here. Now come to returns table. This is the not way, right? Column 1 and column 2, because return, these are the column names, you know. But here also it has confused. In the first step only, returns it is the text. Yes is also text. They thought all these are maybe similar data. That's why instead of giving it in the column header, it has given column and column 2. Let the Power BI developer will look and fix this issue. Yes, we have seen like these 2 are the column names. Actually, these are the names. So just you click on use first row as an headers. Yeah, this is use fixed. Previously, we have only 3 steps. See, promoted headers. This step is added. Okay, this is how you need to closely monitor your data, not simply see how data is changing. When you observe these things in the minute, then you will try to enjoy the lecture. Now you can see I collect to the SQL Server, this customer table, employee table, and product table. These 3 are coming from where we have connected these 3 from the SQL Server. Now let us look at these 2 tables, right? Customer table and employee table and product table. I will try to look at these applied steps. Here you can see only 2 applied steps are there, source and navigations. When I click on the source, it is showing it is coming from the SQL databases, laptop.sql server. It is coming from here. Next, navigation. Navigation shows which from where the data is coming, right? It is coming from adventure workbook table. Here in the dim product is a table. So it is a dim product table, right? From the dim product table only this data is coming. So here these 2 types of the only steps are there. Now you can ask me where is the promoted header? That step is skipped because while storing the data in the databases like SQL Server, all the column names are fixed at the data source level itself while storing, because storing the data in a databases like SQL Server, already they will take care of the data because they will store the data in organized manner. So the fixing of this promoted headers, they will fix this issue at the data source level only. That's why the Power BI, here you can see the steps like promoted headers will not apply, will be not present over here. You can see only 2 applied steps like source information and the navigation information. Promoted headers will not reflect here, and in the real time also when you connect to the SQL Server, there is no such transformation. You can go for use first row as headers because this issue will be fixed at the data source level only. Data source level means while storing in the database only, they will store by giving the proper column names. So there is nothing to do as a Power BI developer once you connect with this to the data to the SQL Server while assigning the column names. Okay, that is the one of the very important step you need to understand. Okay. Now, going forward, what are the other topics that we need to cover? See, we have understand what is Power BI desktop interface. We have understand what is report view, what is table view, what is model view, and we have seen how to connect and load Excel files into Power BI desktop. We have seen how to connect and load the tables from SQL Server into the Power BI desktop. We have seen what is Power Query. Okay, yeah, what is to make the ETL, to make the transformation, we use Power Query. How we go to the transfer, that we have discussed. We have discussed understanding the Power Query interface. Like I have shown you, this is the query pane. This central one we call it as data pane. We call it as append steps. This type of this is called as ribbon pane. This is formula pane. So that is Power Query interface we have discussed. What are the important tabs in the Power Query you can see? See, once you are in the Power Query, we have Home tab. In the Home tab, you have different type of menu-based options. When I go to the Transform tab, we have many menu-based options. When you click on this Add column, you have different menu-based options. When you go to the View tab, you have different menu-based options. In the Power Query, after finishing the Power Query, we will try to touch each and every menu-based options which is there in the Power Query. I will not leave any one of the transformation. At the end of the Power Query, you will able to use all these options without leaving any options. We'll discuss each and every cut to cut explanation will be given after the end of the Power Query. You're able to work on all these menu based options present in the Home tab, Transform tab, and the Add column tab. Okay, these are the different types of tabs are there. Now, very important interview question is, what is the difference between Transform tab and Add column tab in the Power Query? That is very, very important. Both Transform tab is useful to make the transformation. Through Add column also, you will make some basic transformations. So what is the difference you will find when you work through this Add column, or when you work through this what we call it as Transform tab? Okay, see, I will give that one example for this. So I will go to, let us go to the order table. In the orders table, now my requirement is just I want to format. I will give a simple example to make you understand in a very simpler format, and the advanced topic that you can discuss as we go up into the coming session. So let us, I will try to give a simple example. So here, yes, we have this order ID, right? CA, comma 2016, comma 110. I want to split this. I want to split this. So I go to the, let us go to the split column. It will ask for split by delimiter. Okay. Once you click on split by delimiter, it will ask how we can split the comma. So I want to split based upon this hyphen. See, hyphen is reflected over here. Click on OK. Once you click on OK, you can see here CA hyphen 2016 hyphen 152156. Previously, it was there like that, and based upon the hyphen, it is divided into 3 columns. This is called as split column. Delimiter means this order ID, this CA comma 2016, CA hyphen 2016 hyphen 152156. Previously, it was there like this. So suppose you can see, I will change. See, if I remove this step, split column by delimiter, previous your data is like this. Okay, CA hyphen 2016. I went to like split column by delimiter means this, if delimiter is hyphen is a delimiter here. Click on delimiter, hyphen. Okay, your data is split. I made this transformation by using the transform tab. Okay, you have seen the results like this. Now, same transformation let us do by using the add column, or if you make the transformation by using the add column, the results will be same, but you can see a additional column will be created over here. Suppose in the same, I will come back over here. I will change this split by delimiter. I will change it, and you can take a basic example also. Suppose customer names also. I'm saying this is the customer name. I'm going to the transform tab. To give a simple example, I will convert into uppercase. See, in the customer name also, all the values in the customer name here, it has converted into the capital letters. Okay. The changes are made within that column. Within that column, previously it was some small mix of capital or small letters. They are transformed into uppercase. Okay. I did this transformation, the transform tab. So same previously that changes have happened within that column and it is transformed into the capital letters. Now I want to close this. I don't want this transformation. If you want go back one step back, how you will go? Just you click on this cross mark, then you will go to the previous step. Okay. Now I will convert same into the capital letters, but I will go to the add column. In the add column, see transform tab, to explain this, where in the transform tab and column add column tab, sometimes we'll have the same menu based options. In the transform tab also I have format. In the add column also we have format. Now I will make the transformation by using in the add column tab. See, same, I go to the format, same, I will convert into uppercase. What happened here? This uppercase, it is converted into the letters which are there in the short in the it is connected to uppercase. But what the different you have noticed when you closely observed, previously we have already a column, right? Previously we have a column like here customer name Clary Gutte you have there. So it will create another column. It will create the another column and it will displace the result. So if I want to drag this here in the customer name, let us show it will let us place it beside the customer name, then select, just drag it. You'll understand more clearly. There is nothing great to understand here, but this is one of the interview question. They will be basically asked for 1 to 2 years. See, previously customer name it is there, so we have converted into uppercase test. So a additional table is created here and the data is stored in the uppercase. But same if you do, we have done it add column in the name itself, it will create the add column, additional column, and it will display the result. Okay. But if you make same in the transform tab, if you convert into the capital like format, if you do it in the uppercase, so within the column level only, your letters will be converted into capital and it will not create any additional column. So that is the transformation. The real time, your requirement, like I want the existing data and the new data should be created in a new column. Then you do the operation by using add column. If your requirement is, I don't want to create additional column and my data should be changed within the same column, then will be using the transform tab. So this is how you will use we'll check the transformation, and this is the difference between uh, the transformation which you make through using the transform tab and also by using the add column tab. Okay. Now, in the initial phase of the discussion, you have seen we have learned how to connect to the two data sources. What are the two data sources we have connected? We have connected to Excel sheet. We have connected to the SQL Server. Now there is one option, different tabs in the Power Query. We have select Home tab, Transform tab. We have Home based option means it contains all different. Here new source. Here new source means you can connect to any Excel file, Excel, SQL Server. You can connect to the data source. There is another base called as recent source. What is meant by recent source? When you click on here, see recently I have connected to the sample superstore data. It's a Excel. We have connected, right? That will be reflected over here. Recently I have connected to SQL Server. The server name we have connected, see that recent sources. So it will save a lot of time, right? If I ask you once you connect to SQL Server, again, if you then tomorrow if you connect to the SQL Server, don't go and connect to the SQL Server. Go to the recent server and directly click on it. So directly you will be, it will save a lot of time when you go to the recent sources. And here in the home tab also we have another called as enter data. What is the mean by this enter data? So you can manually you can enter the data, because you can manually, if you want to prepare or if you want to make some small tables which are of 4 or 5 rows or 4 or 5 columns, just you click on this enter data. See the column name, it will give like a column name as will I create let us give it as name. So I will type it as phone number. Yeah, in the column you can give the name as Janardhan. You can give any phone number. Yeah. Here also you can give another type. You can any type another number. So you can give the phone number. Right. Once you create the table manually, just you click on, we'll try to click on OK. So a table will be created. See, this is the table. That table will be appearing here in the queries. Whatever the tables we extract or the what are the tables you load, that will be reflect. Queries are nothing but the tables, right? What we have discussed. See, Janardhan and Jyoti, we have given the numbers that will be reflected here. If you manually, if you want to create the data, you will be creating, you will be using the option called as enter data. With the help of this, you can manually, you can enter the data. Through the new sources, you can connect to different sources. You have the data source setting and remaining these options like a refresh. See, refresh means suppose I want to refresh preview. So this table only get refreshed. If I click on refresh all, so entire data will be refreshed. This means like in the future, suppose I connect to the Excel source, right? In the future, you might add some data into your Excel. Suppose this is the Excel sheet I'm connected. This is the Excel. In the future, in the returns table or in the people's table, suppose you have added my name like Janardhan. North. Okay. So you have stored it here. You come to Power Desktop. Once you click on refresh all, then here in the regions, directly the data which is there over here stored, it will be reflected over here. But not, I am not refreshing now because while this visual is linked to some other visuals, this is the way, but I want to don't disturb this. But this is the way that if you update any data in the future over here, you again you will not connect to that Excel sheet, and again you will not waste your time, right? Just you will make the change. If any data is added in the Excel, just you need to come to the power. Already you are connected to that data, right? You can come here, you can click on the refresh all. So whatever the data which is added at this data source level, it may be Excel over here, that data will be reflected over here. So this is how you can refresh the data. And there are many menu based options in the home, how to choose, how to remove the columns, how to go to the columns, how to keep rows, keep top rows, bottom rows. So this I will explain you by taking some live examples so that you can able to understand more clearly. In the coming session, we'll start with the home based options which are there in the Power Query. After that, we can go to the transform tab and learn what the different type of the menu based option, the transform tab, then come to the add column and finish what are the different type of the transformations which are different menu based options are there, which will helpful for shaping up your transforming your data. Okay. So that are the different, we have learned what are the different types of the tabs which are there in Power Query. Next, you can see how, let us see how data processing will takes place in the Power BI. That is very important. This is a very important how data, this is very a technical aspect we need to understand. Once you are connecting the data, you are loading the data. So how the things are going, working at the back end, you need to understand. That's very important how the things are working at the back end. Okay. When you look at this Power BI desktop over here, right? In the Power BI desktop, now we have connected to the Excel tables, we have connected through the SQL Server. Now there is one option which is there in the Power Query editor. We have a view options, right? In the view option. In the view options, when you look at the view option over here, there is one option you can find over here that is called as query dependencies. What is the use of this query dependencies is, we have first three tables we are connected to the Excel, you know. Next three tables we have connected customer, employee, product. These are taken from the SQL Server. Again, people to return to, we have collected from Excel. This table directly we have manually prepared the table. Manually we have made this table and loaded into the Power BI desktop. But in the real time, we connect to the different data sources. By looking at this, you cannot say, right? Because we are connected just a few minutes back, you know that is Excel. These are connecting from the SQL Server.
But a person who is working after you coming by looking at this, you will not get an idea how where from which source these tables are coming. So in order to see from which what is the data source connections and these tables are coming from which source, this query dependencies options will be helpful for them. Let us click on this query dependencies. When you click on this query dependencies, see it will show you like let us zoom it better so that it will be helpful for you to understand. Like I will zoom it. Yeah, perfectly fine. Is it okay? Yeah. Right. You can see here orders table, people's table, and returns table. When you look at these tables are coming from C user Zenardan, which is Excel file. This symbol is Excel, right? We are connecting from the X. These are coming from the Excel table. See orders table, people's table. This is a returns table. So I will make it full screen. It's better. This is orders. This is people's. This is return. These three are coming from Janardhan desktop. You can see the file name also. See your Janardhan desktop samples too. And you have the Excel file symbol over here. That means these are three are coming from the Excel. Now, when you look at this customer, dim employee, and dim product, these are the three tables, right? These three tables are coming from where? See this symbol, we call it as SQL Server symbol. And if you want to see that source, just bring the cursor over here, laptop SQL adventure workbooks. So it is coming from, this is a server name, right? It indicates these three are coming from the SQL server. Again, you see orders table, people's table, returns table, people to returns to. We have duplicated these two, right? We have connected twice again. These two are also coming from Excel file. That means orders table, people's table, returns table, people to, returns to, all this table are coming from this Excel file. And dim customer, dim employee, dim product, these three are coming from SQL server. This is a symbol of SQL server. And when you look at this table, there is no connection built for here because we have entered the data, we have prepared the data from within the desktop. That's why there is no connection established here. That means you have manually created the data from the Excel file from the Power BI desktop itself. In the future, if you connect to the different data sources, like if you connect from the Dataverse or if you connected from the Oracle databases, then you will see the columns or the tables over here and you see the data connection. Okay, so this is called as query dependencies. It helps you like your data is coming from which type of the data sources when you connect with the different data sources and when you work on a report which where the multiple data source connections are involved. Okay, so that is one of the interesting thing that you can find over here. And next one, very important, is here we have seen in the class also what is the difference between the transform tab and add column in the Power Query that we have discussed. Now, very important is how data processing takes place in the Power Query. So that is very important. Okay. See, in order to understand this, let us go to the Power BI desktop here. Let us go to the Home tab. Okay, we have made some transformations like customer, you have made it capital, uppercase we have made. So if you want to save this, save changes, you can click on close and apply. Okay, click on close and apply. So the changes that you have made will be reflected. See, people to return stable. What are the changes you have reflected? It is creating the model again. That is done. Right. Yeah, you can open this because it has loaded what are the changes we have made to the capital. Now, the important thing that you want to find is how the ETL process will happen in the Power Query. Okay, that is a very important thing. So whenever you connect to the data sources, suppose I am connecting to any Excel file, okay? Or I'm connecting to the SQL server. See, this is a SQL server. I'm connecting it again. In order to connect to the SQL server, what you will enter? You will enter the server name, right? To explain you this process again, I'm explaining how the data processing will helpful. That is very important. What is happening at the backend? Control list. So I have given the server name. Server name is coming from here. See, just copy the server name. This server name, you need to copy this. Just I'm click on OK. So the details from the server name here, see server name, it has loaded. So this is our database name like Adventure Workbooks. Inside this Adventure Workbooks, we have the tables. See, I want to load only one table for here. So already employee product level. So geography is not loaded, right? Just I will click on the geography. Just click on load. What happens when you click on, instead of let us click which is having many products like many rows. So I can take it as which contains many rows, that will be more helpful for you to understand easily. Yeah. Let us take dim promotion. Fact internet sales is there. Yeah. Fact internal sales. Yeah, I will try to take this. I have selected the fact internal sales and try to load. Yeah. Implying a cycle reference error is complex. Some error is popping up, not a problem. But let us see which table. Customer table. This we can discard the changes. We have the customer table, employee table, dim product table, orders table. So let us connect it again. Server name, we have given the server name. Just click on OK. Yeah, we got the server. And try to load the customer name again. I'm taking dim customer. Load. Yeah, we are getting the different data over here. So already customer name is there. It is trying to load the customer to dim customer 2 because already we have the customer data. So while loading the data, your data might be contained sometimes some types of lakhs of rows. So while loading the data, what happens? Okay, in Power Query, while loading the data, what happens? It will bring the tables of only first 1000 rows. Okay, instead if you're having the data of some 1 lakh rows, it will load only first, it will bring only first 1000 rows into the Power Query. And when we click on the close, see, suppose there are load like in this customer, we have this many rows are there, right? Right. So the data is loaded. Now let us go to the transform tab. Here we are in the transform tab. Okay. In the transform tab, while connecting to any data sources like dim customer 2, see, when you connect to the dim customer 2, when you look at here, the Power Query, what it will do, initially it will see out of the rows, how many rows it is showing, column profiling based on 1000 rows. That means while loading the data into the Power Query, it will bring only first 1000 rows into your Power Query. That's why it is showing out of 30, it contains 32 columns, 99 plus rows. Column profiling is based on 1000 rows. It will load only first 1000 rows into your Power Query. And what happens, because in order to save your time, but in order to improve your report performance, it will bring only first 1000 rows into your Power BI desktop. Once you click on close and apply, see this, once your data is loaded, once you click on close and apply, okay, now the actual data transformation will be takes place. That means it will, when you click on the close and Power Query brings all the data and transform the data into it. and if suppose it consists of many rows, like 1 lakhs of rows, and those rows are loaded into your Power Query. Okay, but in order to save your time, in order to improve your report performance, or in order to while performing the ETL process, the Power Query initially it brings only first 1000 rows, but when you click on in the transform data close and apply, then it will try to fetch the data, remaining data which is there in at the data source level, and it will load into your Power BI Power Query. So between each transformation, to reduce the data transformation time, that's why Microsoft it is Power Query is bringing only 1000 rows. That's why when you look at here in the Power Query, suppose when you go to the transform data, see total data is transformed, I entered, we got a message in the transform data. That's why it will show the transformation. The column profiling is based on the top 1000 rows, and when you click on close and apply, the actual transformation will takes place. Okay, and in the Power Query also we make some ETL transformations, right? So suppose we are in the order date. My requirement is I want to extract the year from this order date. Okay, that is my requirement. I want to extract the year from this order date. So how I can extract the date from, like suppose we are in the order date over here. I want to suppose you are coming in the whatever the transformation you will make in the transform tab or add column tab, that you know, right? So we are in the order date. I will come to the transform tab. There is an option called as date over here. Let us select the date. I want to select the year. Select the year. See, previous in the order dates, we have date, we have month, and we have year. So from that in this date, we have selected year, and only the year is reflecting here. Okay. So for every transformation that you make, so in the applied step, a step is created here. What is the step it is here created? Extracted year. From the orders date, you have extracted the year. That step you have performed. So every step that you perform in the Power Query level will be reflected here. Okay, that is a very important thing that you need to notice. Second, behind any trans, you just extracted, you have used the menu based option, and you have extracted here. Behind every menu based option, this Power Query at the back end, it is writing one code. This code we call it as M code or mashup language. This is the back end, it will write code. It will write the code. It will execute this code and it will give you the result. So whatever the menu based options are, we are using different menu based options. Behind every menu based option, the Power Query will be writing a code behind it. The code is called as M code. Okay, this is how the data processing will takes place at the back end. So if I want to I want to show this it in the same slide. We have a slide for this. I will explain what are the things that I have explained here. See how data processing takes place in Power BI. See, in Power Query ETL transformation, we will not write any code, right? Whether we are writing any code, just we are using the menu base to extract it here. Just we go to the format, we have extracted the year, like in the format, like in the date column, we went in the transform tab. We already we have transformation is done. Just see, we have removed this. Just in the transform tab, we came to here. Instead of year, we select the month. Okay. If I month, I will select the month. So in here, month will be reflected over here. But backend it is writing the code, right? So this is how in the Power Query to perform the ETL activities, we will not write any code. We perform the ETL activities by using GUI options. These options we call it as GUI option, graphical user interface. By using these options, we will be playing with the data. Behind every GUI option, Microsoft already written some code, and when you use this GUI code, it will execute and provide the result. So for every menu based option you are doing, By backend, it is writing some code in the form of M code and it is giving the result. That's what he is saying. And how ETL process will happen in the Power Query? I have already said when you bring the tables from the data source into the Power Query, it will only bring first 1,000 rows into the Power Query. It will transform those 1,000 rows in the work on the 1,000 rows. But when you click on this close and apply, it will bring the remaining data and it will transform the data and it will load the data into the Power Pivot. Okay. In the demo we have discussed from Power Query, the data is loaded into Power Query. This is very important. The actual ETL process will happen when you click on close and apply. Why Microsoft, why it is doing like that? Between each transformation to reduce the data transformation time, the Microsoft, it is Power Query is bringing only 1,000 rows. What happens if you bring like 1 lakh rows are directly bought here, and if you make the transformation, it will increase the load on your Power BI desktop and your report performance will be hindered. That is the reason initially it bring the 1,000 rows, and once you click on close and apply, and the remaining data will be come from the backend, and the transformations will be taking place based upon the first 1,000 rows. So this is how you need to understand while making the transformation, how data is changing its shape in the backend, how the formulas are executed at the backend, that you need to understand, and how the Power Query is writing the mashup language M code at the backend, that you need to understand. See, order date, it has written from the orders date, it has selected the order date, and order date in that it has selected the month. From the order date, it has selected month. That's why it is displays the result as a month. So in the backend, it is writing the mashup M code and it is executing the result. Okay, this is how you need to understand. So we have discussed how to go with like this. Also, we have completed how data processing is taking place in Power BI, how ETL process are taking place in the Power BI. We have discussed. Now, very important, the 11th topic we call this as what are data types? What are the different types of data types are present with examples, and what are the importance of that using these data types? So that is also very important in understanding what exactly the what are data types. Okay. So generally, when you look at the data types, there are three types of the data types are present. Okay. I will try to click on close and apply. Right. Okay. Because I have made some transformation. When you click on close and apply, only the transformation will be saved, right? So now after a click on, you will come to the Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop, what we have the report view. We'll be having the report view. We are having the table view. We have discussed about we have the model view. So this is how we will be having. Now let us go to the report view. Now again from this Power BI desktop, I want to go to the Power Query. How you will go? Power Query useful for the transforming your data, right? You will click on this transform data. You will go back to the Power Query. So this is how the things will get navigated, right? So now the important concept we'll be discussing here called as concepts called as data types. Okay. See, when you look at the home tab, you have the data type concept over here. What is meant by data type? Data type represent the type of information which is stored in the column. We call it as a data type. What type of information will be stored in the particular column? We call it as data type. When you look at the row ID, we have stored 1, 2, 3. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. These are whole numbers, right? So the data type is a whole number. See, the data type means the whole numbers are stored here. Now let us go to the ship mode. Data type. What is the data which is stored inside here? Second class, third class. You can see the filters over here. We have second class, first class, standard class. These are the type of the data. What is this? It is a text, right? So that's why the data type is stored. It is represented as text. Now again, we can go. I will go to some value-based functions like sales. I will click on the sales. 261.9673. These are the decimal numbers, right? These are the decimal numbers. So the data type here detected as decimal number. So what is the information which is stored inside a particular column that we call it as data type? Okay. Now when you go this, you will find some important difference. Product ID. You can ask me the product ID, we have numbers, we have text. What is this functions? This is called as alphanumeric. If we have the text function and number function within the same, then the data stored will be the data type detected will be the text function. This is one of the interview questions. Can you give a live example like any address proof where the data, can you code any address proof where the data is stored in the form of alphanumeric? Anyone? In some address proof where the data is stored in the alphanumeric, where you can find the text and data in, like you can say your PAN number, right? In the PAN number AQMP J88, you have the letters, you will be having the numbers. So when you give such type of the data types, that should be stored in the text function. You don't say in my PAN card we have the number, but we are stored in the text. But as a hard and fast rule, the text functions are stored in the form of alphanumerics. Okay, that is one of the important thing that you need to find. Now, once again, when you go to this our transform letter Power BI desktop, where here, see this is the text. Now let us go to the dates. See, we have the orders date, right? Like suppose I go to ship date. When I select this, the data type stored, the data type it is reflecting as date data type, because inside the ship date, the data is stored in the form of dates. That's why the data type we call it as date data type. So these are the different types of the data types are there. So as a broad, we can speak there are three types of data types. Number data types. Number data types means which will store the numbers. Whole number, decimal number, those are numbers, right? Those will come under the number data types. Second, we have text data types. Text data types means either the text will be stored or alphanumerics, just we have seen, right? A combination of number and text will be there. That's we call it as text data type. Sometimes you will store some Janardhan at the rate, if you give your, store your email ID that contains numbers and some special characters. In that condition, the data types will be selected as also text. Suppose if you enter the, if your data contains text and special characters, the data type detected will be, it will be the text data type only. And when you store the information which is related to the date, the data type detected will be date. These are the three that when you ask, somebody asks what is three different of the database data types, you know, it is number data types which will store the numeric information. Second, text data types, it will text, it will use alphanumerics, it will use characters and special characters, we use the text function. If the date is stored, we call it as date data types. So that is the difference between, you can find, if I show you in the slide that you can memorize very easily, I have some this information to represent it in the form of slides as well. See, data types, the type of information stored in the column. Number data type, numeric information. Test data types, test will be stored either special character and combination of numbers are stored like PAN card. Either test, some special characters if you store, that special characters also detected as text function. Combination of text and special characters is also text function. Here we as a date function. Customer name, address, product name, this comes under the text data types. If you want to zoom it, that you can zoom for it. So you are able to see my screen, right, everyone? Guys, you are able to see the screen? Can someone respond?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
okay, fine. That's good. See, customer name, these are the text functions. Sales, quantity, age, your age will be numbers 35, 35.52, something 32. That age will be a whole number or decimal. What is the data type? Whole numbers and decimals are number data types, right? Then data, date and birth, some date, time, you will have that date data type. Sometimes you have true or false is valid, that is that data type will not, generally will not use, but Generally, if you ask the interview, you can say number data types. But in the interview, they are asking some typical questions on these data types as well. Uh, that questions will be answered in the next slide. See, if your number, if you contain the text function like hello world, 123 Main Street, these are the text functions, right? That means your data type is text. If your data is stored in numbers and text, alphanumeric, we call it as alphanumeric. For that also you give the text function. That is clear. If your data contains numbers or decimal number, you give the number data types. I have given the example for that. Row ID I have given the sales. That also number data type. If your data is stored in 2024 date format, date and time format, for all this you can give the date or date and time data type. That is clear. If your data types contains true or false, these are text functions, but they are true or false. For that you need to assign the logical data type, but that is not required. If it's not, if you test also not a problem. So binary presentation, you are not using the regular report. But very important question which is asked in the data types are, unique identifiers are represented in the form of text data types. Unique identifier, by looking at it is a unique identifier. Suppose Aadhaar card. We call it as Aadhaar card as a unique identifier because a single person will not have the two Aadhaar card numbers, same Aadhaar card with same Aadhaar card numbers. Every person will be uniquely identified different. So have you seen in a person with two different persons are having the same Aadhaar card number? No, right? Those are called as unique identifiers. And don't come to me, sir, the Aadhaar card number have 12 digits numbers. That is a number data type. But instead it has having the number, but it is a unique identifier. As a hard and fast rule in the data types, the unique identifiers like Aadhaar card, they should be stored in the form of the text data type only. When you look at your PAN card, no two person will have same PAN card number. It is a unique identifier. That's why it is better you store it as a text data type. Instead, it is having the numbers and alphanumerics are stored in the text data type. When you store it as a postal code, like in the case of PIN code, no two districts or no two areas will have same PIN code number. But PIN code number, when you represent it as a number, all these are number. You don't come to me and say that is a number data type because it is a unique identifier, my dear friends. That's why you need to. It is better if you store it in the tested data types. Employee ID. If you suppose you are get as a Power BI developer, you are joined in any company, they will provide some employee ID. No two employees ID. Employees will have the same employee ID number. Even it is a number, try to store it as a text data types because those are the unique identifiers. By looking at that, the unique identifiers, better you store it as the text data types. In the interview, they will ask, "What can you name some unique identifiers where you store?" At least if you give this example, Aadhaar card, PAN card, postal card number, you can give voter ID, driving license, zip code, employee ID. If you quote this type of the examples, then it will be better. You can impress your interviewer. That's why the importance of the data types is very important. If you store the data types as wrong, you will not get the results perfectly. I will store it in a very live example. So let us make some. What is the importance of data types is the next topic. If I explain this concept by using the live example, then you can able to understand it more better. You are able to see my screen here. 1 second. Yeah, you are able to see the slide, or the blue slide, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what is the importance of the data types? We have learned what is data types. What are the different types of the data types we have learned? What is unique identifiers we have done? Now we need to understand what is the importance of the data types. Why? If you change the data types, what happens to your visuals, that you need to understand. I will take some small example here. See, manually, I will go and change the data types. Then what happens to my visuals? I go to the Power Query. Okay. I go to the Power Query. Let us go to the orders table. Now, orders table, let us go to the sales. Here, sales. What is data type? Sales is a decimal number. It is a number data type. Now, I am going here. So let us draw a visual like sales. Region wise sales we have done. We have built the visuals. Now what I have go and I will say, instead of that decimal number, I will store it as text function. See, data type, I stored it as text. Then I want to save the changes. In the Power Query, I made the changes. How you will save it? Click on close and apply. Right. See what happened. You have made the visuals by using region wise sales. But if you try to make the visuals, suppose I'm taking, see, pie chart, I'm creating the pie chart over here. I will explain you again, region. Suppose I'm selecting region. See, regions are reflected. Now I'm taking the sales. I want to region wise sales, right? I'm selecting sales. But I'm not getting any results over here. Why I'm not getting the results? So instead of dragging in the details also, I will try to take the sales as a values, right? I will try to select the sales section over here. What is values are coming 0%, 2%, some different values. These visuals are not correct. So instead it is taking the count. Some of sales might be not count. It should be shown values. You are getting the count of the numbers, like how many different types of sales. This you are getting 0%, 0%. This is not the way, right? That means your visuals are not making it. We have different sales figure and your data is giving us 0% something. That means because you have changed the data type. Now what I will do, I will go to the Power Query. How you will go to the Power Query from here? Okay. Now I will go to the Power Query. In the Power Query, you will transform your data, right? If you want to go to the Power Query in the transform data, you need to click. Go to the transform data. Now go to the sales. See, this is the sales. Here data type in the sales, what data type you are given? Sales, text, right? Now try to change this data type as a decimal number. Replace current. I am replacing. So your data type is decimal number. Your change, you made it correct. I want to apply these changes. Go to close and apply. Right. Once you click on close and apply, your data is loaded. Okay. Now leave it this visual. See, you remove the visual because here previously we got the error, but now you got the values over here. Now I'll try to build the same visuals over here. I will try to create a visual for you, same again. I will take a pie chart. You select the region. Region is selected. You select the sales. Region sum of sales. See, 391. You got the correct visual. Why you got? Because you stored in the decimal number. You stored the correct data type. In the real time, you are making any sometimes suppose you are not storing the data type. You are not giving the data types correctly. So for every visual, you will getting the errors. So that is the important to understand the concept of data types. You should be, if it is date, you need to give the date data type. If you give like a number, you should store in the number data type. If it is decimal, you store it as a decimal data type. Otherwise, you will get the wrong results. See, instead of this, previously it was a decimal. I've changed into text. Here we got error, and here we got the 0%. So if you show this type of wrong visuals to the client, and this is a not way, you need to understand that is the importance of data type concept. Okay. Right. Now, next, what are the filters? What are the different type of the filters that we will be discussing in the next class? Okay. See, within this 2 hours of classes, we have completed near about 12 topics. What is Power BI Desktop? What are the different type of views? We have seen how to connect to the data sources, how to load the Excel to data sources. Actually, what is Power Query? What are the different type of ribbon Power Query interface we have studied? Home tab, transform tab, add column tab we have studied. What is the difference between transform and add column? Transform time within the column only they will change. If you perform operation by using add column, a separate column will be created that we have studied. How data processing takes place we have studied. It will for every menu based option, it will write a backend some code, it will write that we have studied. How ETL process happens. Initially, it will be 1,000 tables only. Later on, it will make the transformation that we have discussed. What is data types, importance of data types, different number, text, date data types you have discussed. Unique identifiers are stored in the text data type that we have discussed. Alphanumerics are stored in the text data types we have discussed. What are the different types? What is the importance of the data types? Why you need to give the correct data types? So this is the way that you need to understand from the basic level. You need to understand very things in the very minute, how to connect to the SQL server, how to give the SQL server. And in the starting of the class, we have studied how to download the Power BI desktop. And hope the session is completed. And if you have any doubts, you can ask the doubts to me. And I will stop the recording here.